So today is, let's see. So today is July 25th, and we're here to do the design project looking at how might we raise the level of empathy in the hub. So this is the very first test of this online version. Been doing it in person and wanting to create an online version, and so I'm just giving a little explanation. And it's Edwin and Eri doing this today. So yeah, thanks for being willing to try this out.
Sure.
Appreciate that. And so if you bring up the document, it says Introduction to Transformational Empathic Design. And you can see the design process, you know, starting with empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test.
Yeah.
Are you very familiar with this process, or?
Somewhat. Somewhat.
Okay.
Right.
What experience have you had?
I just had this workshop that I attended once on the design process, and got to get introduced to the couple example of how this design process has been used, but then I haven't personally used it, so I have the like conceptual understanding of it, but I don't have the real experience using it per se.
So you've you've had a kind of an overview of the concept of it, but you haven't gone through the process itself.
Exactly.
Oh, great. Well, then it's a good test.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
And so the kind of going into the concept. Actually, I'll show it on the screen. There's also able to share this on the screen here. I think. Oh, it's not showing up. That's strange. Usually you can do the screen share. I was going to try to show it on the screen.
It's kind of coming up. You see it came up a little bit.
It seems to want to come up, but it was on again and off again. Huh, there's some, usually it works, they keep changing. There's something, oh, that's too bad. Okay, well.
Well, technology, when it works, that's great, but when it doesn't.
Yeah, usually it does, has good screen share.
Right.
There's other ways around this. Okay, I was trying to share a Google Doc. Let's see if a PDF works better. Maybe not. Nope. Oh, does not want to share. Okay, I'm going to try one more thing here.
Okay. But in any case, I can see the document that is shared with me on my computer screen. So.
Okay, you can see it at least.
Yeah, and then you are the person who's sharing the document as well. So if you click some part of the document, I can see where you're clicking.
Oh, okay. The only thing I wanted to show it just for it was more for being able to share this, like if other people were watching, that they would be able to watch along.
Right. Yeah.
that I could just periodically show it, but this might not be working this time around. Oh, there we go. That's one way to do it. Okay, so so that's the design project. We go through empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And the little triangle below shows how when we start with empathy, our first step is to empathize with each other. And empathy is kind of like an open-ended, it's called divergent, kind of opening and gathering a lot of information. And then we're going to go into the define mode, which is kind of narrowing down to a problem area, which is more analytical, and it's convergent, coming down. And then we'll find a problem area and we'll brainstorm, which is kind of like an open-ended process again. And then from there we hone down to create a prototype and actually test that prototype. So that's kind of the overview of the process. And then the next page is you can see the links to the various sections. And then if we keep scrolling down, we got some instructions. I designed this to do with 3 people, ideally, so that like one person can interview someone else, and then the third person can actually take notes. So you're not like taking notes while you are interviewing somebody, but we'll have to do both at the same time. Okay, and some supplies. So we go on to step 1, your challenge. How might we raise the level of empathy in the hub? And so this is, we'll be going kind of step by step, and the idea is that I'll interview. I need a stopwatch too. So I'm kind of developing this as we go along, so it'll be a little slower.
How long do you expect this whole process to be?
It could be like an hour and a half. Okay. Does that work?
Yeah.
If when we do it on in the group on Tuesday, we go for about 2.5 hours. So we have about half an hour introduction.
Right.
And let me find a stopwatch here. Any good stopwatches online? Online stopwatch. Oh, here's my phone. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll interview you for about 5 minutes, and then you'll interview me for 5 minutes, and we'll do another round of me interviewing you, and then another round of you interviewing me. And you can see there we have some questions, and you can use those questions or pretty much anything, any questions that you feel are relevant to you. I mean, that you want to just come up on your own.
So is that interview sort of like a leeway into this challenge question?
Yeah, that's so we're wanting to empathize with each other. So what we're doing is exploring. As you see, step 1 is how much is a question. Challenge question is how might we raise the level of empathy in the hub.
Mm-hmm.
And you can ask. I'll just be asking questions about your experience with empathy,
Mm-hmm.
and you can ask some about from me.
Okay.
Okay, second. Okay. No battery here. Yeah, this is going to be feel a little rushed, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and so I guess we can just get started. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? We know your name, your age, and just a few little things about yourself, the type of work you've been doing.
Okay. I'm Eri. I'm 31 years old, and I've been working in education field, teaching at the community colleges and high school camp, summer camp, and then last a year and a half or so, I was working as a part of founding team of Impact Hub in Kyoto, Japan, and I just recently relocated to Oakland, Berkeley area, and started to be um, getting into the community at Hub in Oakland.
Oh, great. So not only will you know about empathy at the hub in Oakland, but you have experience with empathy at the hub in Kyoto.
Yes, yeah, it's true.
Great. Well, can you tell me a little bit about your experience? What I'm finding is it's going to be too hard to type without a third person, so I'm not going to type. I'm going to just interview you and go back
Yeah.
and look at it. That's what I'm just seeing now.
Uh-huh.
So, okay. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts about an experience with empathy? What do you think about empathy?
I think I feel like the concept of empathy is still a little bit fuzzy in me. Like when you ask me what's the like what your definition of empathy kind of things, like feeling like what others are feeling, and again, my experience in empathy has been that I feel like I have a lot of people who kind of supported me a lot, especially through my work during the development of Hub in Kyoto. People really spend a lot of time working on the same goal, and then in that process, um, we shared um, the shared time and experiences sort of create the what is it called? We create some sort of like um, container of empathy, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, so that's what I felt about empathy.
Uh-huh. So
Them.
what I'm hearing is, so to begin with, it's like a fuzzy concept to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not maybe it's not a sense of clarity of what empathy is, but that being said, in Kyoto, when you were working together with people, you felt that people were very supportive, and there was a lot of empathy
Mm-hmm.
there in in the group that you had in Kyoto.
Yeah, yeah. So if I were to sort of like define in my way that the empathy equals sense of um, like the feeling of being understood and then supported, then yes, that's what I felt.
Um, how about at the hub in Oakland? What's your experience with empathy there?
So far, I haven't really had a chance to spend that much time yet. But then I think, um, let's see, in general, when when I feel like they are giving us this like full attention to your presence, I feel their I feel their empathy more, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're feeling that the hub, the people that are giving their full attention to you, and at that point you're feeling a sense of empathy.
Yeah, it's being understood,
Oh,
like
being understood.
being cared for. So I don't know if that's actually sort of constitute empathy.
Uh-huh. So you're you're
Yes.
you're like they're giving you their full attention, you're feeling
Mhm.
cared for, and you're not sure if that feeling cared for really is empathy.
Yeah.
So it's like a question about that.
Right. Right.
So do you have a time when that happened? Was there like a peak experience of people paying attention to you at the hub?
Yeah, like the host when I'm talking to host, like uh, you know, when in a busy time when I'm there, if I know they're doing a lot of different things, but then they stopped what they're doing and then actually, you know, look into your eyes or like not doing things at the same time, not doing other things while they're talking to me, kind of, then you will feel like, that each of us being present at the same time, kind of. And then I did have a experience that both of us are doing different things while we are talking, and then it just the depth of communication is very different in that.
Is that someone having a cell phone or something like that, or doing something
Right,
else? So
right.
it's really, you feel a real sense of empathy when somebody's really focused on you,
Mm-hmm.
looking into your eyes, and you're looking at there, and you're feeling that full sense of presence and attention. And
Right,
then
and then
oh,
hmm
sorry, go ahead.
yes, and then it's actually really easily that sense of focus to each other slips away if either one or both of us start diverging our attention. Like if the computer is in front of us, for both sides, then like doing things back and forth.
Oh,
I'm
if
talking
your
to this
attention
person.
moves to something else, you can
Yeah.
feel the attention where the attention is moving.
And then if
Uh,
the one person feels the other person's attention moving, then that person will start doing the same thing. It's like a reciprocal.
so if one person is starting to shift their attention and the other
hmm
person starts, and then it kind of creates a
Yeah.
reciprocal
It's like, yeah.
attention moving.
Right. Right.
Is there an actual story? I mean, an actual time when that happened? I mean, if you look back at your experience, I don't know how long you've spent there, but is
Yeah.
there a time where that actually happened, a real life experience?
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. That's why I mentioned. Um, so it was when I was actually trying to figure out my work trade shift with Calgary the other day, and then I was on my computer, and then she was on her computer looking at the calendar and things like that. But then both of us had a computer right in front of each other, and so while I was talking to her, like partially I started to, when I was talking, like I was looking at my calendar and things like that, but then something popped up, so I clicked and then I started looking at it while I was talking to her, and then she was typing things in it, but then I can see that when she was, when something came up to her as well, and then and then I would be talking to her, but then while I'm doing something, and then she would also, so like both of us at some point we were like actually talking about what we were talking about, but then at some point like one like I get my attention distracted, and then she goes into doing hers. Okay, I'll have to answer this one. And then I see that, and then I'll like go out and doing my other things. And then we sometimes comes back at some point, and we start talking. But then, yes, that was very interesting.
Uh, and how does that feel to you? What's your experience? Is it like, oh, this is okay, this is
Mhm.
painful, this is unpleasant, or no problem, or what's your sense around that?
It in one sense, I felt bad, that I did that to her. That I recognized that recognized that my attention was being like away, they diverged, like I was distracted quite a bit in that conversation, and then because of that, I felt like our conversation get a little bit less effective, and that this conversation is sort of ended in the end, but then with a little bit more synchronicity in both of our attention, that would have came out a little bit more like that. I don't know, effectively. That effectiveness of the communication, I guess.
So why did you feel bad? I'm hearing that you felt bad because of effectiveness. You would like more effectiveness?
No, it's not like because of the effectiveness, but then the fact that I wasn't fully present with her made me feel bad about that. That in my part, that I felt I guess a little bit guilty.
Guilty.
That I have, I was doing other things, and I also, because I felt that divergence of each of our attention to each other, in a way, I kind of recognized that I kind of caused that as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you were feeling guilty because you feel that you caused the divergence of attention, and why did you feel bad? What was it? Why did you feel guilty?
Oh. It's just the I guess because it creates lack of connection in a way. Yeah, it started to become very superficial.
So it's you have a need for connection, and then you're kind of feeling uncomfortable, maybe around the superficiality that's created.
Maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. You're not sure?
Why did I feel guilty? Well, I felt bad. I guess in a way because I knew I should be giving attention. It's nice things to do when you're talking to someone, you're actually paying attention to that person, but instead I'm like, it's like going back and forth with, my computer world into reality and computer world into reality, and then, yeah.
So it feels like I'm hearing that you feel that you should be giving attention and connection to people. And
that's my way of ideal, interaction with people.
Oh, why is that?
I think, because I value that time that I have with people. But when I really, I think as a personality, I really enjoy a intimate connection with people. And when that happens, it's really energizing to me. And so usually when I do have a conversation with people, I try to be present. So when I recognized that I wasn't at all, it just made me feel bad about that, I guess.
Okay, so you're feeling bad because you really value that intimate connection with people, and that's and you value and enjoy that intimate connection, and when you don't have it, you feel bad about it, and even guilty is what I'm hearing.
Right.
And how does that relate to empathy? Is it kind of like empathy is that sense of presence? So would you say that it's, how does empathy relate to that? Is empathy like part of presence, or?
Yeah, I think being present is part of being empathic to that other person. I think it's really hard to really cultivate the feeling of empathy when you're not really paying attention to others person or present, I guess. Maybe it's a cultivating ground for empathy.
Okay, so attention and presence is a cultivating ground for empathy, I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then, well, that's our first round. We've gone, quite a bit over, but that's fine. Okay, let me reset. So in the document, you can see that we're on step 1. So it's your turn to interview me, and you can try typing. It's difficult to type and talk at the same time, but I did a little bit of it because I have a big screen. But you can also go back and take notes from this video afterwards. So we're kind of experimenting with that. Okay.
Let's see, how do I do this? So I just opened the Eri interviewing. Okay.
Yeah, I can see you're there. And it's like it's 4 pages down is where it starts.
Right. Okay. So under the here. Oh, reload.
So
says that there's the error in the file.
Oh, it's an error.
Okay. I reload it again. Oh, it says the file unavailable again.
Actually, it shows you being logged in there, so I don't know why that. Hopefully, the security sharing should be okay.
So when I tried to write something in that shared Google Doc, it says file unavailable and reloading. I'm reloading again. Okay. I understand. Yeah.
Still giving you errors?
Yeah, still giving me errors. Well, I can kind of type that out at something else. You don't have to use Google Doc portion, I think. So.
Do you still have that handbook that I? I think I gave you. If you want to write into that, you could use that too.
Okay. Sure. Do you want me to save it as a blank thing? So I can write it in the other paper, which is fine. You want me to keep this as blank?
Or you could put it in paper. Yeah, you could just write it on a sheet of paper. I guess that works too. Or you can go back. So, all right. Well, that's something to see. Kind of a technical to look into.
Sure. Okay. Anyways. All right. So I'll spend 5 minutes.
I actually went for about 15, but
that was long. Yeah, I was thinking, it's longer than 5. Okay. Anyways.
But it seemed like it was good. I thought it was really getting some good stories.
Maybe we dug deeper already in that 15.
That's it. We did.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, so you'll tell me about yourself a little bit. You're
Yeah, Edwin Rutch, age 58, and work experience. Been working on empathy for the past 6 or 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
and very passionate about it, making it my life's work now. So really see that empathy is a core human value that it is a gateway to solving a lot of problems and for general well-being. So really
Mm-hmm.
throwing myself passionately into this.
Yes. So you are saying that your empathy for you is a core human value, and then you're feeling that this is kind of like empathy is a little secret of solving so many problems outside in the world. But then
Yeah.
how? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if it's quite secret. It's yeah. I guess that's not quite. I guess people just don't know about it. Maybe
Yeah.
it is a secret. I didn't think about it in those terms, but it's something that really needs to get out there more,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, and for people to talk about. Like, I went to a lot of different meetings at the hub, and they don't really talk about empathy. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
there, and I'm always bringing it up. I'm handing out empathy cards, and
Mm-hmm.
bringing up the subject. So
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, I think it's more like it's devalued, less than being a secret.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so you see that empathy is something that um, people need to talk about at the hub as well. Then in what sense do you want the empathy being discussed? Like, what do you see as like a, I guess, empathy in action?
hmm Yeah,
What what
what would it look like? It's kind of like, what
Yeah.
does empathy in action look
Mm-hmm.
like? I think the first part is that it's an intention. That
Mm-hmm.
that we have the intention that this is what we want to work on, that
Mm-hmm.
this is something that we value.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really trying to create that general intention. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
interviewed Tatiana about
Mm-hmm.
empathy at the hub, and she said, yeah, it's a very empathic place, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not like people really talk about empathy. And it's something that's there, but it's not named.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you name it, that helps kind of make you able to talk about it and work on it,
Mm-hmm.
and look for ways of creating more empathy, as
Mm-hmm.
well as I guess I'm looking at if we have a group of people, like in America we have a constitution, right? It says here's the rules, kind of
Mm-hmm.
the framework that we're operating under,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. I would say we need something like the intention up there, explicit, that we need empathy. We need people to connect with each other, and having that intention, I just think is important to starting to take action around it. People do take action, but
Mm-hmm.
having an intention, I think, even makes it, even can take stronger
Mm-hmm.
action.
Right. So like instead of just, I guess, even if the empathy is in the air, you bring that out so people see it, what I guess what the hub community values, and one of them
Yeah,
being empathy. Is by holding it up there, it's like it kind of makes it reminded, and also it makes people think about it. So it would
yeah,
bring the attention towards empathy by the
yeah.
people being there.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, I said if you have it as an explicit value, then it's
Mm-hmm.
something to refer to. Like if we have a
Mm-hmm.
friendship, we say our value is empathy, and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to work at having an empathic friendship. That
Mm-hmm.
if something happens where there's a disruption in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship or the friendship, that we can say, well, we do have empathy as our value, and so it kind of gives I don't know what to call it, maybe like a touchstone. It's like
Mm-hmm.
um, it gives an explicit value that we're striving for. Even if we're not getting there, even if we're struggling with
Mm-hmm.
maybe having that empathic friendship, that we
Mm-hmm.
know that that's what we're headed for. And I think that somehow kind of, I don't know what to say. It kind of gives a moral or some kind of a, I don't even, it's a good question because it's like, it gives something, you know, it gives some kind of a reference or a support. I guess it's something that kind of helps support an empathic container, an important empathic community, to have that as an explicit value.
Yeah, so by bringing that up and then, like, I guess as a group to show that empathy being the important value, and then write it out or put it out there in visual sense that make it more tangible, then even if the empathy is not necessarily there at the moment, people can refer back to it or look towards it as their common goal, you know?
Yeah, common goal, common vision, common value.
Vision is probably a better idea. Yeah,
maybe even a common intention.
Intention, right.
I think the intention is the big thing. We have an intention of trying to create this type of community.
Yeah, nice having to get the intention out. It's a powerful thing, and then if you can share that with others in a way that makes that intention communal, I guess.
Yeah, it becomes like there's something about a shared intention.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Having it shared, you know.
Yeah. So, why do you think having this shared intention is valuable for the hub community? As you being involved in the hub, Oakland?
Yeah, like why would it be a value there? Well, if it's a value, then people can start working towards that. You know, start finding ways of deepening it. It's I think of it like here. You know, you being from Japan, like years ago, there was all this talk in America about continuous improvement. And the idea was, and actually Japan was held up as this manufacturing, you know, around continuous improvement. That, okay, maybe they're making good cars in the factories, but that they continuously improve. And so it's not like, oh, we're empathic or we're making good cars and we can, you know, relax, but it's that we are constantly improving. So I kind of see that with empathy too. If there's a vision there that we can be constantly improving and creating even stronger empathy, because I think the hub is very empathic. You know, there's a lot of empathy and people connect, and but it's that sense of continuous improvement that if you're doing something well, you can even do it better and kind of build on your strengths.
Yeah. So you already see some part of like empathy being taking place in the hub, but then you feel that it could be continuous improvement on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, what part of the existing hub that you saw the empathy already happening? Like, what are the examples that you felt the empathy taking place at hub?
Yeah, there was. You know, we had our empathy team was meeting there, and you know, Calgary really tried to help us out in terms of, you know, with letting us use the meeting space in the back, and so she was, you know, really supportive. There's it's a space where people come together. So just there's, you know, sometimes you walk into a space, or I walk into a space, and I can feel the, you know, maybe it's like a click, or it's, you know, it's there's kind of like a feeling of distance between people. You know, there's like, I don't know how to, and at the hub, you know, I kind of walk in there and it feels kind of open. It's like a general, just kind of ambiance. You know, there's places for people to meet. You know, you go over to the kitchen, and they even have lunches. You know, there's the Friday lunch, so that's a place to meet. You know, yesterday we were there, and there was somebody giving this free samples of coffee there. You know, making coffee, so you can over and talk with people there. And then they had, and then Ro made root beer floats, so people were going over having root beer floats. There's all these little events that were, and then yesterday was also, they were starting with the kind of the meeting. You know, people could meet each other and start looking at how to connect more. So there's all kinds of little events. You can really, I really see that there's thought given to creating those type of events for people to get together.
So you see that already existing part of empathy at the hub is where like the support from Calgary on creating the empathy team meeting there, and then also those events or little, I guess, hosting that they do, and creating a space for people to meet. And get to know each other.
And so, then people are also very, it's easy to kind of start talking, relatively easy to start talking to people. And when everybody, there comes a time when everybody is working and all the heads are down, you know, and it's a little, you know, I don't feel like going over and interrupting people, but there's all these places around for, you know, creating, I mean, mainly the kitchen, but
So you feel like the point at which empathy can come out of, or empathy can grow, is all those meeting points that you see.
Okay, well that's that was 15 minutes, so we'll switch. Dig a little deeper for you. So as I've been talking, has anything else come up for you around empathy? Any other insight?
Wonder. Yeah, I felt like in listening to yours and then what I said, kind of like common part is that the empathy equals, or empathy come out of, people to people connection being made. So unless there is an interaction between the individuals, there, you know, it's hard for the empathy to come out of, I guess. Because both of us are saying that the feeling of empathy comes from, you know, talking, like paying full attention, you know, talking, and then also, you know, you saying that what you felt like empathy is, what part of empathy being there at the hub is starting out of those meeting places. So yeah, I guess that's sort of my.
So what I'm hearing is it's people having interactions, being personal or in groups like we're talking about. So it's really the empathy is coming through this interaction. That's something you're noticing, thinking about. Well, in terms of how could we create more empathy at the hub? What would contribute? Any ideas do you have of like what would contribute to more empathy at the hub?
More empathy. Let's see. I think from the informal gatherings, I think would help too. Like I think what they're doing already in hosting, they're doing a great job. But then I think like increasing the frequency of a little events to bring people together is nice. And like the, let's see, And then I think being able to talk about empathy with people, like creating the opportunity to talk about it and bring it up as a subject, just like kind of like plant the seeds about that into people's mind. Then it becomes more of a collective. Yeah, it's like a shared goal or shared vision.
So I'm hearing two things. One, that there's good hosting, but could even be hosting more events, and also more like explicitly talking about empathy, and that would lead to more of a shared vision.
Yeah. So I think you're already kind of doing what's
already doing it.
It's probably like necessarily. Yeah.
Do you think that's good to do? I mean, do you think it's a good way?
Okay, good way to do it. Yeah, I think having a conversation about it and things like that would be good. And then I guess it would be good, like if Hub Oakland really cares about that, then the people in the community recognizes as such, as well as the team recognizes it.
So it's if the Hub Oakland would recognize the importance of empathy, that would be good. So there's the team recognizes it, and so somehow to get the Hub to recognize it would be a way to build empathy.
Yeah. So.
And what is it that got you interested in the topic? You came over to the table. We had a table.
Right,
and you said, "Oh, I want to kind of check this out." And what drew you to that?
I guess part of me already was interested, or like and then some of the keywords kind of got me interested as well, like the surrounding empathy with the NVC, environment communications, or the application of empathy. What is it that we can translate that into our real life? Kind of intrigued me. So I guess why empathy is important, kind of realizing that I guess it's a good thing to care about empathy.
You're kind of interested in how to incorporate it into your real life.
Can
you say more about that?
To have I guess because I told you that I have like a vague, a little bit fuzzy idea of what the empathy really is, and I know it's a good thing, and I feel like I already somewhat do that in my day-to-day life, but knowing what the empathy is a little bit more objectively, and it may clarify what it is and then how it affects the communication between people, I feel that it would the value of the empathy would goes up, and it's good for me because that would probably improve that can improve my perspective towards my relationship with people.
Okay, so you're looking at if you can get better. Well, it sounds like the first thing is you're needing more clarity around empathy, like what is empathy, and it's still sort of fuzzy. And you're thinking that if you can learn more about empathy, that would that would improve your perspective, or you were saying, on life or your relationships.
Yeah.
You have relationships that you'd like to improve? Do you have any specific ones?
Not specifically, I guess. I don't have any specific relationship that I like, okay, I got to take it, I have to see it.
Well, I heard you had talked before about having been had friends, I guess, that had done NVC, and you just found that they had a way of being that was really attractive to you, or interested you. Is that?
Yeah. Yes, I did have that experience. Maybe, it could be just a personality, but then I feel like having that as a communication tool, or being aware of that, would be beneficial. I think it's beneficial for me. It's still one of the ways to communicate. Like NVC is probably one of the ways to communicate, but I think knowing different type of it, or knowing about that tool, if I like it or if I know how to use it, and then be able to apply that, and it would become part of my, I guess, bags of tool that I can bring out, when the time's right, kind of thing. Yeah.
So what was it about the people that you knew that were doing NVC that you liked? I mean, what was the quality that they had?
Oh, they were very good communicators. I feel like they've learned they've known of the skills to express, and then also process emotions to communicate.
Okay, so there was good communication that they had, and they were able to process feelings, you're saying? Emotions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that's it.
That's my impression, so that could be...
That's
yes.
Could be just a false impression.
Right.
You're kind of going to be open about that. Maybe that was your impression, and maybe kind of be open. Okay, that's we can switch. That was a little bit more than 5 minutes.
Okay.
So the idea here is just to dig a little deeper. Sometimes it can be really good. You've already been doing it. You can say, you just keep asking why, why this, why that, to really dig deeper to the underlying feelings and maybe even the needs that the other person has.
Okay, so let's say from what you said earlier, okay, so you mentioned that the hobbies already have some seeds of empathy being there. What do you think would make raise the level of empathy at the hub, kind of building from what they already have?
Yeah, I think what we're doing in the empathy team is one thing is that getting a group together that wants to start thinking about it and actually make it an intention. So I think I've got a whole series of kind of strategies around that. Talking to you, doing this this online exploration, doing it in person. Starting to interview, because we want to start breaking into teams and start interviewing people at the hub. We already did that a little bit, and so it's like having the intention and then starting to use the design to see what emerges. But I think it's more of having the question, how might we raise the level of empathy at the hub, and that's like the intention, and then having a process that can start exploring people's needs around empathy, and somehow I feel that it will emerge that the kind of the steps, the ideas, the creativity will start to emerge about how to deepen empathy at the hub. There's all kinds of ideas, like having a workshop I'd thought of, like a workshop or even a larger workshop. I've got a documentary on empathy that we could show. So there's all kinds of, once the ball gets rolling, I'm hoping that it can create a bit of a snowball around it.
I see. So you feel like having the empathy team being there can sort of bring in already interested folks like me.
Yeah.
Start having the conversation about the empathy in the first place, and then by creating the intention of how to raise the empathy and the hub itself, it's sort of already the way to raise the empathy at the hub, because that having the intention and then like exploration process in which interviewing the people at the hub, asking, what they see as empathy and the hub and how do you think you can raise it, blah, blah, blah. I think that process itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring that awareness.
Just by throwing it out there, it starts sparking those neural networks, those ideas. Oh, what is that? Why is this important? So it just starts, people start thinking about it. So, you got to have something to kind of, and also have kind of the intention, the energy to do that. So I have the energy. So. And having the free membership, winning the free membership gives me the time and space there. So that's really nice.
Yeah, why not taking advantage of that? Yes.
Yeah. And then it's also, like I'm saying, I mean, you were kind of addressed that. It's by having the group there, and now we're kind of opening it up and trying to bring more people, like you came over, which was really great, to the table, and so I've been spreading the word, and so if we keep spreading the word, helping more and more people will come into the design process.
Yeah, it's very true.
And actually, I just see a lot as the whole designing process is a whole a way of creating more empathy in general. So just learning the design process and teaching the design process really helps, I think, in fostering empathy. There's the people who have started, from IDEO and the D School. They're talking about empathy all the time, giving speeches, talking about empathy. So that's really helping to raise the level of empathy just by kind of getting it out there. And they're making the case that empathy is the gateway to creativity and innovation. So because you have to really understand what people's needs are to design for those, and the way you find those needs is through empathy, or one of the ways at least.
Okay. So you're saying that the design process itself sort of foster the empathy as well, and because like the developer of this human-centered design, like IDEOs and things like that, also puts a big emphasis on empathy, saying that the empathy is a gateway to innovation and creativity, because by thinking about really feeling the need of others, being empathized to that what is needed, I get that more creativity can comes out of it.
Exactly.
Being that's where everything sort of starts, like the ground.
Exactly.
Basically. Okay.
It's kind of like the ground where the plants of creativity can mushroom or something, kind of metaphorically.
What you said that the design process itself fosters empathy.
Yeah.
Why do you think why is that?
Well, it's actually the design process. I think could be some areas they actually call it empathic design.
Mm-hmm.
It's referred to as empathic design because you first start. The first step, as we're going through, which we're doing right now, is empathy. So
Mm-hmm.
right now you're asking me questions. You're hearing what my thoughts are. You're
Mm-hmm.
feeling your way into my experience and
Mm-hmm.
understanding me more deeply. And
Mm-hmm.
likewise, I'm doing the same with you. So I'm getting to understand and know you much more deeply as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that feels very empathic
Uh-huh.
in that way. So that's that. And then the other process, we're moving towards designing for a prototype, and the
Mm-hmm.
prototype becomes like an offering
Mm-hmm.
to the person to say, hey, how does this prototype work for you?
Mm-hmm.
These ideas work for you, and then it becomes a gateway into getting to know the person even better. So we're
Mm-hmm.
almost like designing for empathic action, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think actually human-centered design. I try to use the word empathic design so that
Mm-hmm.
we're really focused on creating empathy.
Okay, I see. So then the whole design process itself is like starting from the empathy, having the empathy point on, but then um, like each process is coming out to prototyping and then put that out there. It's sort of like offering to people, and then from there you can also the whole process is like a cultivating the empathy
Yeah,
in the person who are involved in.
who you're designing for.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that human-centered design can even be redesigned to be maximized for empathy. That it can be, and that's one thing I'd like to do
Yeah.
is take the design and take it from what I would call transactional empathy, which is, oh, I need empathy so I can find out what your needs are, make a product, sell it to you, and make a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
to transformational empathic design, which is that we are designing for an empathic relationship with people. So that would be taking it and making it even more of an empathic process.
Okay. So you're saying two things, that the human-centered design, like in a way, might be that using the empathy to end result is to create the product that meets the customer needs.
Yeah.
But then instead, transformational empathic design is the purpose of the whole design itself is to not coming up with a product, but then having the product maybe to raise the empathy as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a relationship. It's
Mm-hmm.
fostering empathic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Yeah.
yeah. So okay, that was 10 minutes. So we're going way over into this part of
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
So so we'll just go as far as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I do find, in terms of just kind of the process,
Mm-hmm.
it does seem to be that going a little bit more into depth, I'm finding helpful. I mean, how are you with that?
Yeah. I guess as we ask questions to each other, I guess the more um, yeah, we get more and more. I feel like in a way we can almost be leading into next process, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. So yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the interviewing is kind of leading into the next process, like the interpreting needs. We're almost doing some of the
Mm-hmm.
next steps. Even a little bit of prototyping was kind of coming up.
Right,
out of
right.
the discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we move on to section 2, then
Mhm.
this is interpreting needs.
Mhm.
And on your own, write down answers to the following questions.
Mhm.
And here's the drawing. I don't know if we can try that. If you have a piece of paper.
Mhm.
So we're going to take 2 minutes and just draw each other.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
there's the, I don't know if you have that sheet. You
Uh-huh.
can have a little sort, or you can just draw that. So you can, if you just want to use, but however you want to do it, but that's what we have, so.
Mhm.
I got a little spot under my nose. I cut myself shaving this morning.
Oh, you did.
I'm actually kind of putting it on the screen and tracing a little bit. Cheating.
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 Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
All right, then. So the next thing, that would take about 2 minutes for that. And then what are 3 notable aspects of your partner's experience? So you can go through your notes and just on our own for about 6 minutes. You just write down, it could be 1 to 3,
Uh-huh.
and what are the underlying feelings and maybe even the needs under those experiences?
What was it? These 3?
Uh, it can be at least 1 to 3 notable aspects of your partner's experience that stand out. What are like 3 things that you heard me say that kind of stand out to you?
Oh, in the last
Yeah,
conversation.
of the interview,
Uh-huh.
and what are the feelings related to that for
Hmm.
me, and then what are
Mhm.
maybe the underlying needs?
Mhm.
So
Okay.
just on our own, we'll
Mhm.
write that out.
Mhm.
Got about 30 seconds on the timer.
Okay.
Okay. You still need more time, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to
Okay,
find
that's
the
fine.
word, like adjective for feeling and needs. Well, you know what's happening for the document I just realized that my status is on like a view only. So whenever I try to write something down, it shows the error. That might be the case.
View only.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. That was it. Anybody could see it. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's. Does that work now?
Oh, it seems like, yeah, I can type things.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. All right. I think I'm ready.
Okay, I'm just changing permissions on one other one here.
Okay.
Change, can edit. Hopefully I changed it for the whole folder. Okay, so what we want to do next is to go over and check like how the our ideas and land with the other person, how accurate they are. It's check for the accuracy, reflect and share your interpretations, gain feedback on how accurate you were, and if there's more. So I can start. I was saying that you feel the concept of empathy is fuzzy, and that the related feeling is confused, and that you have a need for clarity.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is there anything else around that to add?
No, I think it's
Okay, great. So the next one is that you like to give and receive your full attention, and when you're in dialogue with people, and that when you're not giving full presence, that you have a sense of you feel guilty about that. And I'm just thinking that you're feeling some pain and discomfort when that happens. Is that, and then maybe that you're needing connection and presence.
There's not much of a pain.
Okay, not pain.
No. It's not not as strong as that, I guess. I don't suffer from but
okay, so it's not as strong as a pain. The other one I had was discomfort.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other feeling around that? When
unsettled feeling, I guess.
Unsettled.
See.
And guilt? Like, if you're feeling guilt, what does guilt feel like?
Well, I don't know. It's I don't really have a vocabulary to explain that. I don't think.
Okay.
Guilt feels bad.
Feels bad. Okay. Bad. So
there's a very like there's a scope of guilt too, right? Like lighter ones to like really heavy ones.
Uh,
So I think I'm feeling the lighter guilt.
okay. Oh, okay, that's good. Feels. I'm going to change that. That you feel when you're not giving full present, you feel lightly guilty, and that you feel discomfort, unsettled, and bad.
Yeah.
Okay, and that you're needing connection and presence.
Mm.
Okay, and the third one is you want to translate empathy into real life action and have it part of your toolkit, so that I didn't finish that part, so that you can improve your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard effectiveness. You want to kind of be effective. Is the need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just out of curiosity, what does that feel like? Is that like a hopefulness around it, or like, oh, maybe this will help, and maybe there's a sense of hopefulness, or?
Yeah, so I think so. Or it's like a more like I wanted to improve myself, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what is that? Hopefulness, aspiration.
Oh, growth.
So yeah.
Personal growth, and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the 3 for me, and yours?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I feel like I didn't really pay much attention to this discussion.
Oh, and I didn't show you the photo. Here's the. The drive.
Well, thank you. Thank you for yes, thank you for picking up all that from my talk. I I wrote that when you mentioned that like by having the empathy table out, like you really you really felt excited, like excited, and then happy to see people just drawn onto that table. And then from there, like I felt like you have so for people coming in, recognizing empathy, that you were feeling a lot of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that, like felt that there was really like the needs of like a recognition, having people like see the presence of that, like your presence being there, and then people recognizing.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. The thing coming up around me there's a pain around that, in the sense we had this team, and we're kind of in a transition now. And when you came, we only had one other person. There used to be 8 of us, so
Right.
I feel a little pain in terms of like how to kind of get the momentum going again, and like, oh, I wish there was more people, would have shown up. So there's like, I'm kind of wondering like about the inspiring people to get involved, and kind of how to kind of making a transition. So there's
Yeah. Okay. And another
So it's
thing.
both of those things, but telling the positive part, there's also kind of a related negative part too, painful part.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I can see that part too. So another things that I noticed is that it's very like similar aspect that I guess I picked up. You mentioned that you have workshop and documentary ready for the people to once recognizing the importance of like empathy, and there could be like a snowball effect.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so from that, I saw that you have this optimism in it that
Oh, yeah, I'm optimistic.
mhm. And the and then I saw that there are the needs for motivation in your part, that seeing what could be done, what could happen, that you are. I feel like that excitement that you see on the optimism that you have, that you can keep this. I guess you're keeping this going.
I had the picture of a snowball pushing the
Right.
snowball, which I really like that metaphor.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not quite sure what you're saying. Something about optimism of keeping it going, or I
No,
wasn't quite clear what you were
I think
saying.
um, I felt that by having the optimistic vision,
Okay. Optimistic vision that I have.
yes, um, you're keeping this ball rolling. So in the way that
Oh.
sort of like maybe the related needs too, that you like to have a push or motivations to make things happen.
Well, what comes to me is I imagine the snowball, which I really
Uh-huh.
like that metaphor because it's like I'm pushing, but it feels
Uh-huh.
like a lot of work. Like
Yeah.
I would like the snowball to start rolling on its own without so
Right.
much work going
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
it, and so that's in terms of a pain,
Mhm.
it's needing more
Yeah.
people to push the snowball, you know.
Mhm.
So I feel
Right.
like, oh, that's a lot of work. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's what comes up for me around
I
that. So
see.
I guess the need around that is for support and ease. You know,
Uh-huh.
just to have
Uh-huh.
not it to be such so
Uh-huh.
much work or so much of a struggle. Even though I have a lot of
Yeah.
energy and
Mhm.
enthusiasm, it still could be a little easier.
Mhm. Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. I feel like
It was a
I
good
should.
question. I love that metaphor of the snowball because that's really a good picture.
Yeah. All right. So the third thing, I don't know. This process was really hard, but I feel like at this I wasn't really paying attention to you.
Oh,
Sorry. Like
Well,
some.
there's yeah, I'm hearing that you're finding the process a little hard. My one sense is that maybe if you have a third person, that person would have taken really good notes, and
Mm,
then you could go back and refer to the notes.
mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I think that that would help the process. Because anyway,
Yeah.
that's just one thought.
Yeah. It's true. And I guess the notes that I was taking would be, if I know this word would be coming, I guess it could have taken different notes
Uh
in a way, because I think my notes are quite factual.
huh. Yeah, that once you know that the question is going to be around the feelings and needs,
Mhm.
then you
Mhm.
start asking your questions and start framing the questions and the notes around the
Right.
next step.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think so too.
Okay.
Um, so okay, another thing I wrote down was that well, you were mentioning a lot about existing hub of the empathy being around the uh, like a little events or space to bring people together, like in a kitchen or on the kitchen where you can meet people. And it's regard to like when people are just looking down and working, and then you feel like you can't really go talk to them. So having
Hmm.
that meeting space is isn't really nice. And then I felt like you got this feeling of like rejuvenation through that interaction that you get to have
Hmm.
with people. And then in there that I think I thought that you may have a need for like the sharing.
Yeah.
of your experience and then your thoughts and your feelings with people.
Yeah, especially around the empathy building. So it's a shared vision is having kind of a shared vision and a shared goal, working towards something. Like here, you and I are working towards the shared intention of fostering more empathy, and for me, that's a lot of fun to have a group and friends who have kind of like the shared vision and the shared exploration. So that really has a sense of connection for me, and also to have the creativity that can happen from playing off of other people's ideas, but towards a shared vision and goal. So that's yeah, that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of enjoyment. Can be a lot really enjoyable for me.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
So great.
Yeah.
Then we go on to the next step number 4. And that's define one problem pain need statement. For example, John feels frustrated and disconnected because he does not feel heard and included in the empathy team meetings. That's just an example. So taking from all the things that you've heard, what is one kind of a problem pain area? And then that gets translated in step 5, that's the same, is translate that into a how might we challenge. So with design, they create the challenge questions that are framed in a way that you can take action, and they usually start with how might we. So it's how might we support John in feeling heard and connected in the empathy team. And so it's take about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to just write those statements down like that. Any questions, or is that pretty?
In terms of from what you had as the problem, need, and pain?
Yeah, what you're seeing, what is, I'll be looking at what your problem is that I want to work on, and you'll be looking at what my problem need statement is, and then translating that into, yeah. I don't know. Okay. We'll just try it. So.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can start with what I came up with.
Okay.
So the one problem area that I saw is that you feel the concept of empathy is fuzzy and that you're needing a sense of clarity around its definition and meaning. Maybe that seems like a kind of a gateway kind of to doing deeper exploration around it. And so I came with the challenge of how might we define empathy so that Eri has a sense of clarity about its meaning.
Okay.
So that was the one. And what did you come up with?
He said that the one pain or need that I thought from you was that you feel let's see, you feel alone in your process because you're not feeling that you have enough support in creating empathy with people with this shared vision of like shared vision and intention. So said that how made it a challenge that how might we support Edwin in feeling at ease to and then like create sense of shared vision at Hub.
Oh, okay. So the next step is step 6. So we take that how might we, and that will be our challenge. What we'll have is about 5 minutes to start brainstorming on those ideas. So if you have a sheet of paper, you can just divide it into 6 areas and try to come up with 6 or more ideas about your challenge that you came up with. So you can imagine solutions that address your partner's needs. Do rapid brainstorming of wild and radical ideas, and it can be as crazy and as wild as possible to stimulate creativity. Go for quantity, not quality. Sketch, draw, diagram, or write at least 6 ways to address their needs. So we'll have about 5 minutes to just start jotting things down. How are you on time? I think we have only about 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're right.
But how are you doing with time?
Let's see. I was hoping that it'll be done in by 12 or something.
12.
Yeah, 12:30. I'm just concerned that I should probably take out my laundry so that I'm not occupying too long. But yes, what do you think? How long more would it take?
Maybe 5. We could go for would 20 minutes work?
Okay.
I mean, we could do until 12:30 if you had time, but I think I had mentioned 2 hours when we initially talked, so I don't want
to. Yeah, 2 hours would be good.
So if we go maybe 20 minutes, just to have a little bit. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So so just we got 5 minutes to just quickly come up with ideas. I got about 30 seconds.
Okay.
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 So I can start sharing. So I want to. The idea here is to share each idea and then get a little bit of feedback about what the other person thinks about it. So my first one is, let's see, the first one is share group empathy definitions page. Project. That we get together as a team, we say our project is to define empathy, and we go into kind of a deeper group project to really create a definition. So how does that land?
That would be cool to have the different perspectives. Yeah. Because I think everybody's definition is be different. Having that concrete idea of what it is, it's good. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then the next one is create an empathy definitions page that's easy to use. So a little, let me get this here, so that there's a page and then a video about the definition. So it's like a resource. Maybe the resource gets created by the group. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Sounds good. I think it's, as if it's too much information in it, I never get into reading everything. So I think it's like a user-friendly media is nice to have.
Okay, so if it's like a big complicated thing, it would be too much. You're wanting something really simple, user-friendly.
Because I know that you had that kind of page on your website. It was so much less. I never got to any of them in the end. Because when I looked at it, it was sort of overwhelming that I'm like, oh, I don't have time to do it right now. I will do it later, and then it never got around. So.
Okay, that's good information. So it's got to be really easy and accessible, or so maybe even like just little 30-second clips, maybe a bunch of, so you can just see, oh, here's 30 seconds. Here's an idea.
A little like picture drawing of like,
Oh, well, that's what I thought. It was like a create empathy definition team mind map. So as a group, we create a mind map of the definitions. It's a big pictorial.
Yeah. That would be good.
You're liking that one? Okay. Yeah. So something about a clarity fuzzy meter. Like there's I can have a sense of clarity and a sense of fuzziness that somehow we want to be able to measure, like how your clarity and fuzziness is feeling.
That would be interesting if I actually know how. I don't. That would be like the process of me actually being able to express how fuzzy I am and how clear I am. So that would be only so much training of like, sensing my own emotions, I guess.
Do you like the idea about kind of sensing your own emotions, something that helps you with your own sense of emotion, sensing and maybe expressing your sense of emotion?
Yes, I think it's good. It's a good training.
Okay. Then the next one is do an in-depth design challenge on your personal definition and understanding. So the whole process is just about exploring, as a group, understanding your understanding. So you're like the center of attention, the full attention and presence, and we just really explore what your understandings are.
All right. That's a little intimidating.
Okay, intimidating. Okay, that's good to know. Why is that intimidating?
I don't know. I feel like I'm put on the spotlight or something.
Okay, so feeling put on the spot there, that's good to know. Personal understanding of empathy, Paige. So as we kind of explore the theme of empathy, that everyone is creating a web page that can, or a resource that they're modifying about their understanding. So you can kind of go back, and it's really about your own personal understanding, and then it can be kind of added to over time.
Yeah, yeah.
Any thoughts about that?
It's kind of like a personal journal.
A personal journal?
Yeah.
And what does that bring up for you? Is that a lot of work or fun? Or?
Yeah, it could be fun too. Like that.
Okay. And the last one, something where we experiences design like empathy experiences, so you're not just seeing it, that you're really feeling it. So it'd be some kind of a somatic exercise that we do, so you can really feel what empathy is like as a reference in your body.
That would be cool.
And why is that cool?
Because I often like to connect my understanding, what I understand in my head, to connect with the body. It always create the more relevance to me. So, yeah, if there's a multiple media of the way, multiple different types of learning or experiencing, it's good to have.
Okay. Okay, those were mine. And yours?
Okay. I only got to 5 or something, and I don't know. I felt like I made the challenge really hard.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
It was how to create this sense of like shared vision at the hub. So the first one was like we'll create, maybe can create, actually just visualize them, like put up the you know, like it's like Hub Oakland values, and then the different values can be put out on the wall. Like they can make the wall drawing or wall mural about it, and you can put that empathy as one of them. I'm sure they have some more, but then, you know, if that word empathy is up there, it's like this visualizing this intention.
Yeah, so it's like up on the wall. I've seen that in schools, that they have that up, and it would depend on how it's done. You know, sometimes it can be kind of tacky, but then it could be kind of done in a kind of creative way. Something kind of creative would be.
Yeah.
Maybe through artwork or something, you know, kind of related to a piece of art in some way. Just so it doesn't have that kind of preachy quality that sometimes you see in schools.
Right. Yeah, not just like the, having in a poster per se, but then in like a wall drawings sort of.
Yeah, so like it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so like it's not just empathy, but then part of it.
It's the whole set of their whole values that are kind of laid out there.
Yeah. That's assuming that Hub Oakland wants to have empathy as a part of,
yeah,
their value, but
yeah, you don't know what it is.
yeah.
Okay.
And then another thing was that just create like the free empathy sign that you were saying, that it's available.
Uh-huh.
That you're giving out the cards, but then I think having that.
Yeah, like let me.
Sign or something. I don't know. That might catch people's attention.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of fits on the desk when you're sitting at the desk.
Oh, I see.
So it sits, kind of on the desk like that,
Got
so
it.
people can stick a little side. So is that something like that?
Yeah, and then you can see what the reaction will be. If people will come talk to you, or they don't understand what the free empathy means.
Yeah, I like that. I've been thinking of doing it and actually handing out cards to people.
Right.
Oh, come over. So can I give them an invitation? Yeah, so you can see I really like that idea. So I already started working on it.
Right, yeah. And then another thing was host a conversation table about like things related to empathy. But then instead of just go through put the empathy in the main topic, but then like maybe a conversation table about how the creativity and innovation can come from empathy kind of thing. So I think a lot of people there are focused on their own things.
Yeah.
At the moment, so like make that relevant for them in the wording.
Oh, that's nice. I really like that. Yeah. It's like somehow find out what people's direction is and hosting a table, like how empathy can support their work with creativity and innovation.
Yeah.
And have little discussions around that. Yeah, that could really work. I feel little excitement about that.
Yeah, because people, I think, has the question like, why should we care about empathy? Like, why should we care about putting time on working on my empathy, or how should we care about, valuing empathy at the hub, or how should we care about valuing empathy, like, for my growth or for my things that we are doing at the moment. Like, how would empathy brings me funding I need right now? Or
yeah, I really like that. It's like, really, how could empathy support you in what you're doing right now? Something that kind of find that out and have like some kind of a dialogue or something. Yeah, I can really see that kind of being fleshed out and be built on.
So if you can find out their real need at what they want right now, and like yesterday's community accelerator thing. When you hear the people's need, you can somehow, if you see the relatedness of how empathy can bring in what they actually looking for at the moment, could be a good topic to bring out the empathy with, and bring in the aspect of empathy into it.
Yeah, there's something. There is. I feel it needs to be kind of delved into how really to make that connection. But I think that's a really powerful. If there's some way to really relate the empathy to where people are.
Yeah.
And then have them really see and have it really contribute in some way to them. Yeah. Okay.
So, and then in other way that if they can come up, they can create the wall like about what the hub its core concept will be, then maybe we can also ask people like create this like a little community board that the people can just write it in like put up the whiteboard or something, and then daily questions ask a daily questions or something, but then one of them could be like, why should we care? Empathy, like, we value empathy because, and then people can just write in their own answer.
So on a board, people are just writing kind of their comments about it. So it's a way of kind of having a conversation. Yeah, my sense is I wonder if people will even take the time to do that. You know, like it's kind of curious about it. If it's, but it could be, something.
I think it's
I don't know.
a good question, I guess, in a question way. Come up with a fun question for people to write it in. Maybe it could work. And then the places where people would gather around. So that would be around, I don't know, around the kitchen, maybe. You can have that spot.
Yeah, I can kind of see like a discussion, like if there's a discussion table, that there's a board right next to it or something that people can write on or something like that too. So, okay, that was just like some initial ideas. Was that it, or was there more?
And then also at I don't know, at the kitchen area. I don't know. This is like maybe it could be different things. You can just make a notes like whatever you found, like empathy of the day. Kind of things.
Yeah.
Just have that little post, like little board, whiteboard or something that you would just ask to have posted. If you can just put it out or something, and then you can just say, write down whatever you saw.
Yeah. That's something I don't know if I mentioned that one, but it was bringing your story of if we're talking about the definitions. I don't think I shared that one. We're thinking of the definition that you're bringing some experience that you had since the last meeting to talk about. Oh, I had this experience, and this was my experience of empathy. To relate it to some real experience. Like you kind of mentioned that story with Calgary. But do you bring a story like that, and that you get some, maybe you get some empathic listening around it? So so that's kind of similar.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of. I think it's where I'm like a little bit fuzzy about what's the empathy really is, because I feel like how that could be described in different ways, instead of keeping the same word, like keep the word empathy all the time, but then because I started writing things like, maybe you can create the board that says like, thank you for blah 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 kind of board. So people can acknowledge each other's.
Oh, so appreciation, kind of an appreciation board,
But then it's not necessarily empathy. It's appreciation. It's a gratitude. But
But then having a whole I like that, the whole constellation. I tend to kind of focus on the empathy and be using that a lot, but to have a whole constellation of other words that are related and connected to that, like belonging or inclusion or caring and validation, and there's all these other connection. They're all related, but they have a larger vocabulary around the experience.
Yeah. So like maybe if you can use a different word, not specifically empathy, then the people might be easily related.
Okay, that's good. So that's the feedback section. So what we do, which we can bring it to a close since we've kind of gone on for a while. But the next step would be, so number 7 was kind of adding your comments about that. Number 8 is based on the feedback. You would take all those ideas and create one prototype. And then, going into depth, it would be to actually, we have supplies. Like when we did this at our workshop, is we actually had supplies where we created the physical prototype, so something that the person can really experience. So if you're saying, having a board or something, you actually create a mock-up of the board and have people interact with it. Or if it's a discussion group table, you kind of create a little mock-up of it and have the person experience it. And then we would go into sharing it and testing it, and then seeing how that works. So instead of 6, 7 ideas, you're just working on one. And then we go and we share that with everyone in the group. Share those our findings, and then kind of have our next steps and kind of what we're going to do next. And then for the next meeting is doing another iteration. So it's constantly kind of iterating and kind of gathering and documenting what we're finding, and keep honing in on the topic. So that's the overall process. So just wondering, kind of for feedback, what are you thinking so far of the overall process? And
it was interesting for me, like the I guess being aware of like what in the process, what to be paying attention to. Like in the end, if we were to be catching the needs and the emotional aspects of it, then the way I would ask the questions and then notes taking would be a bit different. So it's good to be aware of that now. And then I feel like time management is pretty difficult on this process.
Okay, so the time's got in the way.
Because I think it's important to be able to fit in certain time when you're trying to bring people into this process, because oftentimes they would come in a limited time, and then it's good that if we sort of be able to frame it in the time that they designated. Because then if it takes longer than it is, then tendency is that, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have time.
Yeah, so you're probably feeling a little stressed for time yourself, I imagine.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, okay, well, good. Well, then we'll bring it to a close. And you can also jot down any other ideas. And we want to get this. If you have time at some point to take your notes and put them into that document, then we would. The one thing I like about doing it online is that we can take notes right away, and don't, like when we're working at the hub, we got to take notes on paper, and then it's hard to transfer them all into a document that we can work with. So
it's hard to take notes on a computer when you're doing it physically.
Oh, we could do it physically. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I guess that's an option too. Mainly, we've been writing into the workbook here, so we've been writing in here. But we could have a version where we take notes directly on laptops too.
Right. So. And because I think the online version it works, but then like real physical, like face-to-face interaction adds a lot more, especially talking about empathy. I feel there are certain things that in-person communication can only in-person communication can offer.
Like
the direct attention. Direct attention is a lot easier, I think, in person to person. And then like when you're talking, like the way the response is coming, like a nodding, and then the sound, reaffirmation, things like that. It's very makes people more comfortable talking, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, well, good. That was better let you go. Then let me stop the